Live, live, live. Going live. Here we go. All right. Looks like we're test going live, folks. Here we go. All right. One. All right. Mute that one. And that one. We're live. Here we go. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to the Geeks of Bel Air. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the Duke of Bel Air.
Never gets old. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome. I know it's a special day today. Look, my stuff's falling down. That's how I roll, you know. I'm falling down. Just glad only one person is watching because you guys getting a show today. You're getting a show. Look at that. Everything's falling on me. See that? Ta-da! Fixed it. All right, just kidding. I hope you enjoyed it, right? So there we go. We're going live. Just give me a few seconds to get organized because it is just me today. Just me. That's right, folks. The Duke is solo. All right. Here we go. Chat. Boom. There we go. We're live and on fire. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad everybody's here. So welcome to the show. It is the May 11th, 2023. I did get a really cool sign. I can't wait to hang up. It's you can see it. Yeah. That's backwards. So recording. See? Recording with the old school microphone, my favorite. So that's really cool. Can't wait for this to be like hanging up here. You know, something cool like that. That's going to be really, really neat. Super excited. What's up, Terry? How are you? Welcome to the show. And we got went live on today because today is Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May. But today is Mental Health Awareness Day. That's the day everybody's wearing green for school, you know. So I got my green on, supporting that calls and all that good jazz. If you all just joining me, you missed it. My background did fall on me, and you did miss the new sign that I got. So we got my new sign recording. Woo! Can't wait to have it behind me. Got a bunch of other cool toys and things to hang up. So that way, once I get it all set up, it'll be nice, and I can just move that. But like I said, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Today is Mental Health Awareness Day. Green. So I figured since usually I go Wednesday, I had to do it today. A little more special than just a Wednesday. And today is solo day, because this show was about, you know, me and other people and helping other people. So today I am going to do more of a me show. A lot of people know me, and some people know the story. Some people don't. So figured, what is this guy? Who's this guy sitting here every week telling us all this stuff about mental health, and you know, you can get through your struggles and you can beat all this. But let me tell you who I am. Okay. So first off, before I get too in, I just want to make sure everybody's here and everybody can hear me just fine, correct? I don't have another person on, so I can't hear them. But I just want to make sure everybody can hear me good. We're good to go. Awesome. So, yes, thank you. Appreciate it, babe. So anyway, I'm the Duke of Bel Air. The Duke is a nickname when I was a kid. I was the youngest of three, and I was a tough little shithead. And played sports, played flag football, and got my tooth knocked out in flag football. You know, always everything was 100% full force. Um, and my dad and mom would call me Duke because I was tough, and I'd always be like, "Ugh." So that's where the nickname came from. When I got my Jeep, it was actually I bought it from my dad, and so it's his Jeep that I bought. It's a pass down, right? And we're close, so I named it the Duke. Right? It's a tough Jeep, so it's the Duke. I live in Bel Air, so it's the Duke of Bel Air. So that's where we are. I am nobody special to some people, and to some people, I'm pretty cool. So the show started because I was a police officer for almost 10 years. I worked in an amazing place that really, really was unique. It was um, a big city in a big county that had a lot. Um, so that causes a lot of different things. Sorry, my dog just opened the door and is joining us now. Bella, you gonna come say hello? Or you just nope, she's just gonna sit by my feet. So we had a lot. We had all different kinds of things. We were a big city. We had the SWAT team. We had all those kind of things. So we experienced and dealt with a lot of things that other police departments may not have. You know, it didn't start off that way. I wasn't always a police officer. I was a young dad. I had two little girls. I raised them by myself. Then, moved on in life, and now I have 6 amazing kids. So when I put myself through the academy, it was just me and my 2 daughters. So I always loved the military, but I was like, I'm not going to go in the military and leave my 2 daughters. They don't have anybody, like they don't have a parent. So I said law enforcement was I wanted to do that in the military. So I just looked it up and put myself through the academy as a single dad. So I would get up, take them to daycare. The daycare would open up early. And Terry will tell you, we had to be there early in the morning for the academy. I'd get up early. They'd take them at like 6 in the morning so I could get to the academy. And then they'd stay late in case because it was, a 40-minute drive from where the academy was. But I did that, 5 months long, and sorry. And I never missed a day. I had perfect attendance, which I was pretty proud of, no, people knew me. I'm not a very shy person, so I talked a lot and told everybody my situation. But so that was my dog. Sorry. It was funny when I got the perfect attendance. The chief at the time didn't even know. He was like, "You never missed a day?" I said, "No, I kind of, setting an example." We did have the best group in the academy. I agree. So I did that. I put myself through school, got that done, and then I was a cop. I had morals, so I was a good cop. I never got in trouble. I was good. The thing I struggled with was I had to learn was difference between sympathy and empathy. You can be sympathetic or empathetic. So like I wouldn't feel bad for somebody in certain situations because I was in a situation like this and I did this for myself. You know what I mean? So it was very like, oh, I know this happened. And I'm sorry that you're in that situation right now. It sucks. I know I've been there, but I'm not going to be like, that's no excuse. Okay, it sucks. Grief, get your grief done, whatever. But now it's time to put your big boy pants on and go. You know what I mean? So in situations, people would be like, well, I'm a single parent and you don't understand. And I'm like, I do, because I'm a single parent and I did this, this, and this. I set the example for my kids. I set the bar that this is what they have to. I don't care what they do. They just can't go under the bar. That's it. Boom, here it is. Don't quit. Don't give up. Just keep doing whatever you do. And it might not be the same thing in 5 years. It might be something totally different. When I first started the police department, I loved it. My goal was to retire. I broke my back medically, couldn't be a police officer anymore. Here I am. Now I'm on a show telling everybody, what is this, right? So it's just, you just have to be happy, right? So I put myself in the academy. I was doing good, had no issues. I got up and became a detective. That's what I'm holding in my hand. If you see me looking down, it's the challenge coin that my one of my best friends and my partner got me. It's criminal investigation challenge coin for our police department that we work together at. It was really cool. I got into things that I saw things that people never see in their life or see in movies. Don't believe it's true. You know what I mean? Things like that. Because of my job, I saw things that you don't forget. Been in a shooting, been in riots, fights, been in them, right? And I read this book, and it was talking about the eustress. So when I first became a police officer, I had some really great mentors. One of several of them I'm still very close to, but some really great mentors that said, you need to go to work, go home. That's your goal. Go to work, go home every day, and leave it at the door. So I physically did it. I had my clothes in a different room, in a different closet, and I would get dressed, and I'd get dressed in front of the mirror, and there it is. I'm now a police officer, right? I'm putting my uniform on, and I'd go to work. I'd come home, I would take the shoes off, go straight in, ignore the children, and say, I'll be there in a minute. They know, don't give me 5 minutes, go change. Then I'd go and say, hey, what's up? Yeah, how, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I was physically taking myself in as a police officer and taking myself out and putting myself back in as Dad and Travis, So not knowing what it was going to do, it helped a lot, where I was able to have that on and off switch. It also affects you in the long run, because that switch doesn't go away, but you forget to turn it on or off. And that's what happens, I read this book. It was talking about eustress, and it says that police officers, firefighters, EMTs, military guys, what happens is, in like the police department, you're working a 12-hour shift, and you'll be doing nothing maybe for a couple hours, and all of a sudden you might be involved in a chase, and you're chasing somebody, or a fight, or a shooting, and you're way up here, you're running your lights and sirens, and then boom, you're down. And then you do it again, and then you might not do it. You might not do it all week. And then for a week, you might be up here the whole time, all week, because it's just a crazy week, full moon. And you're here. You're running on that adrenaline, you're just like, woo. And then you don't. So when you stop being a police officer, you don't get these highs, these giant spikes. And it starts affecting you, because your body's like, hey, what's going on? So you start making them however you have to. Your brain wants that spike. So alcohol, drugs, things like that. That's what, people go to those. I have always been learned from history, right? Don't do the same thing over and over again, right? So I would watch being a police officer. I'd see these things ruin people's lives and, mess up. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. Note to self, don't do that. Right. And then, so when I left, it became an issue of, so I was this guy, now I'm this guy. In my head, it was different, but in reality, it wasn't. I was the same person. But to me, the way I saw it was I had this title, and I respected it, and I took very good pride in that respect. And people respected me because I gave them respect. They gave me respect. I grew up in the city that I worked for, so I went to school with a lot of people, and it showed a lot. Terry will tell you there was times that people would be like, "How did you talk to that person? That person hates police officers." I'm like, I was just being nice to them. I don't know, just nice. Or they knew me since middle school, and they know I'm just a nice guy. I'm not trying to lie, or you know what I mean. There is no way to fake being me. I'm just me. I have an amazing life. I've done amazing things. I've met amazing people. And when I tell stories, people are like, "No way." Yeah. And I have photos of certain things that we do because I'm like, no one's ever going to believe it. But most of the time, I don't like taking photos because I'm not that person that I just met you and we just hung out all day. I need a photo of us. I don't really care about that because I have it in my head, you know? So we, it was things like that. Like, so people would know me from school or, the community and knew who I was. So they would trust me. And it worked very well in my career for me. I went home every day. So that means I did good. Um, but when I left, yeah, they ran a lot of people. I know Travis. So it was weird. It was weird because when I left, everybody that worked there and stuff like that knew me and knew what happened. But the ones that didn't really know or just knew me from growing up would try to name drop, those kind of things. They would call me, "Hey, I need help." I'm like, I'm not a cop anymore. And it was different because you have this huge section of people that are like, "Oh, we're friends." And as soon as you stop doing that job, that title that you love, or that is you at the time, right? Or you think that is who you are, they just disappear. They're done. See ya. And you're like, "Oh, okay." But that's when you get your real friends. But like I said, I always saw what happens, right? Because I'm the youngest, I could see things happening. So, and my dad told me when I went to middle school, when you get out of high school as an adult, you have friends you can count on one hand. If you're lucky, you can count them on two. If you're a really good friend, you'll be able to count them on two. And so I always remembered that, and I always listened to him. So when I left, it was like, all these friends, it was just like, woo. And that's where, depression. Now I'm not getting this jacked up, adrenaline rush anymore. I'm now not what I was, right? My status. I had a job, but to me, there was nothing wrong with my job. I liked my job. But to me, it wasn't. It was a downgrade from where I was. And that's when the spirals, started. Because I was happy. I had a good life, like nothing like those things. It was just, I couldn't figure out why I was, not doing things, or why I didn't want to do this, or why am I not sleeping, or why am I not getting along with this, or why don't I want to be around people? Like, I would go to, I'll name drop for you, Terry. I would go to Legends Cafe or Legends Bar and Grill in Fruitland Park, Florida. I love that place. Nate and Pat, the owners, they're amazing. Bonnie is an amazing server there. Name dropping. I was a server there after I was a police officer. I went and worked there and loved working there. But I love those guys, and I loved the atmosphere. The food is amazing. The wings, chicken parm, the Parmesan garlic wings are outstanding. So I would go there because I felt comfortable. Also, a lot of people don't know, but the owner, Nate, was a police officer in Lady Lake for some time. We got along very well. We had the same similar personalities where we were very friendly, and we get along with everybody. So I would feel comfortable there. And Nate was a police officer for a while, so he understood that change from here to here. And he understood my personality, so he knew what I was going through. So it was a real well liked atmosphere. So I would go there. I would go certain places, but like other things that I would do, I wouldn't do anymore because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be there. I don't feel comfortable. Somebody's gonna start those kind of things. And so this outgoing person started becoming, like an introvert. Like, let's just hang out at my house, or let's just go to, Paul's house or your house. We were just like, let's just stay here. I don't want to go out. And it was just spiraling. I moved trying to get away from that feeling, that like there was nothing else. Even though I grew up there and everything, it was like I was done with this place. It was the place, it was that feeling, living close to within a mile of the police department and hearing the siren, seeing the cops, and then there would be cops, and I'd be like, it's no kicking chicken. uh, they I wouldn't you know, I'd be like, "Oh, what's up?" And then I wouldn't know the cop because they were new. And I'm like, "It's only been like a year, 2 years." But then there's all these new people and they didn't know who I was. And I'm like, not trying to be the old guy, but I was like, "Listen here, Rook," And it was a different world, really fast, very fast. Um, so I moved out of state. It just was like, boom, see ya. I'm gonna try something different. Um, it worked at first, it was fun. I found a job that absolutely loved. Absolutely loved the people. They were great. All my training from the other job made me just move up, and it was good. And then you get to the point where you're saying, okay, I'm worth this much, but that guy's worth this much. I don't think so, and then that whole play, like, you know who I am? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm this guy. That's just some guy. He has nothing on me. So that whole feeling kicks in and you're like, why am I don't care about that, but something in my head is making me that way, And that's when I started like figuring out that, yeah, Terry, well, you were in the military. I always say you were a real hero. And then Terry was a badass. She was in the military and then she became a cop. What? Mm-hmm. We were in the academy together. So was her husband. Hey, what up, Dysons? But so you go through these things. So I was like, maybe I should talk to somebody, maybe. But I'm about to be 40. So for anybody younger that doesn't understand the fact that we grew up in the 90s, there's stigmas, and stigmas were real, and stigmas affected people, and you know what I mean? It was big. So it wasn't something you're like, so it was always just like, I'll just deal with it, Hey, Sean, what up? So I just started talking and telling him, and they challenged me to sit down, like come home from work and sit down on the couch with the kids. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, even though I'm not a police officer anymore, I'm just wearing a dress shirt and tie. It still bothered me. Like, I was like, oh. And I did it every once in a while, but it was very, very hard. But I did what I would do is like on the weekends, I'd dress up and we'd go out just to still have that, which Travis is here. Is it the working, I'm getting paid, I'm 100% focused, or is it the dad that's like exhausted and just like, what? So I understood what I was doing mentally. And then the the thing I was dealing with was staying up late, not going to bed, doing things like that, having nightmares from things that I saw or I if you were ever Terry was in the military, so she's been there, done it, got a t-shirt. People that were in the military or in law enforcement, some law enforcement people never pull their gun, and that's fantastic. And some were in shootings and stuff. And so there's different levels. And when you do something like that, where 1 minute everybody's here and then the next second, not everybody leaves, it's different. And, but to me, I thought I was okay because I was okay, right? I'm home, I'm good. But you know, it started like I said, dream, like the nightmare. So I was like, oh, I'll just stay up a little later tonight, that kind of thing. Or, oh, I must have watched something, that made me think of that. But it just started becoming repetitive, and it was affecting me at work because I'm supposed to be this manager at this nice restaurant, talking to people and being so friendly, but I'm having these nightmares at night. And so it's like, whew, it's getting to me because I'm like, what? Sorry, I didn't sleep last night. But you can't say I didn't sleep last night because I have nightmares from, you know, several years ago when I was in a shooting. That make you seem weird, right? And so people don't do that. They're just like, oh, I'm fine. I'm just tired, right? Well, that's what I was doing. I was doing things like that, and like I can handle this. I got this. I don't need help. I don't need help. I'm not. There's not something wrong with me. There's the stigma. There it is. There's not something wrong with me. So I lived like that. Like I can handle this by myself. I'm educated. I don't need no help. Um, but that's when I found out talking about this helped to one person, right? I talked about it. And when I think about things, a lot of people will and still do come to me and just vent, right? I'm great for it. Hey, I always tell everybody you can vent to me, but if you're an asshole, an asshole when you ask questions and I tell you something or you ask for advice and I give it to you and then you don't do it 3 times in a row and say I don't know what to do. That's an asshole. Like, dude, you asked me and you don't listen. That's not on me. That's on you. I told you what was going to happen, but you still did it. Own it. So, but when people would vent to me, I'd listen and hey, if I knew an answer, I'd, whatever. Or I might, hey, I know this person. You should go talk to this person, or those kind of things. Or, hey, do you want to just go grab lunch so you're not by yourself? So I was really good at that for other people, but not for me. So there was no self-care. Okay. So when I started talking about it, I started getting power over it. Start talking about, the things, it let me be in control. That's when I was like, okay. Now, a few years later, now I start the show. Here we are today, where I've learned that talking about these things helps you. If you don't talk about it and you think it's over, it's not. The minute you hear a certain song or see a person or, anything like that, it'll just boom, you're right. And if this incident happened prior to who you're hanging with now, like in my case, they don't know what's going on. So when you're just like, oh no, I gotta go, there's like, what's up with him, right? So it's not your fault, it's not their fault, but it does seem weird. And yeah, Terry, it's not fun. And you can always call me. I'll listen. But they it's it's crazy because, like I said, I'd listen to other people, but I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't listening that I had an issue. I needed to talk to somebody. Um, so I started figuring that out, and I was like, well, how am I this old? This age right now, and this isn't. It's out there. You see it a lot now, like mental health, self care, self help. And self care can be anything. Like my thing, my drug of choice was video games. So when you work a 12-hour shift as a police officer, you work 6 p.m., 6 a.m., or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., right? You might be lucky and have a nice shift in the middle there when you get older, but most of us, we had the crap shift. So working that shift, you work, on 3 days, off 2 days, whatever, on three off. It's like a one day you work Tuesday and Thursday, and one day you only have Tuesday and Thursday off. That's how that works for most, depending on how they do the schedules. But so on, if my only 2 days that week is Tuesday and Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my body's still up 6 to 6. I'm not going to bed at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. I'm not even waking up until 2 or 4, depending on what is going on. And so I would sit in the other room and put headphones on and play video games with my friends that were in different states, like California, a retired police officer, my buddy Scott, who's in Colorado, just things like that. My buddy John, well, my partner, we would once a week, we would get together. I'd go to his house or he'd come to mine and we'd watch cheesy B movies. We love cheesy zombie movies and things like that. So that's what we would do. Once a week, we do a movie night. And always week after week, the movies got worse, but they were fantastic. Cheesy, the better, right? So, but that was my schedule. So when I off that schedule, now I'm not in that 12-hour shifts thing anymore. I And that was how it would calm me. Like on my days off, everybody goes to bed 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever, and then I'd go and play video games until I was tired. So, but now I'm not doing that because I have to get up early because I'm on a different shift now. Now I'm on a normal, semi-normal shift. And when I started doing those things, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then that's affecting my new, my new reality or my new schedule. But that was the only thing that was helping. So it was like, well, if I don't play, I get aggravated easy and I'm like, I have no fuse. I'm not, and when I say aggravated, I mean like, what? Like, really, what? Okay. Like that, that's it. It's the yell, right? What? I'm okay. Jesus. Like, I just don't want to deal. Right. That was me. That was my my stuff. But so when I realized that, I was like, okay, well, I need to figure something else out, something else to do. Started, you know, going to church, and on Friday nights we do Bible study with all couples that are all married. Something I never did before. I mean, I used to go to youth group in church, but like the Bible study thing with people my age and or all have kids, it was nice. It was different. But they all know me now, not then. So it was like, okay, it's cool. Um, and then you try to do these other things because you're like, I don't want to go back to that, or I don't want those kind of memories. But so the video games still helped. I was always very cautious about being, heavy drinking. So, I'm not a big drinker, so that wasn't really worried about that. But dealing with these things just getting, the more I talked, the less they were a problem. And the more comfortable I became talking about them, because now I was in control. It was my story. I was telling it, and I could tell it if I wanted to who I wanted to, when I wanted to. And I could leave things out. I didn't have to tell the whole story because I didn't have to get gory. I didn't have to get, explain why. People were educated. They'd figure out I was this investigated 1,200 sex crimes and I was in a shooting and a lot happened, right? So just, those are all things. So I could tell you the entire story from start to finish. And I do that for people who understand that life, law enforcement, military, um, you know, EMS, things like that. Those kind of people, I'll share the entire story with because they understand the mental side of it. But for like just somebody, here, it's just like, oh, I did this and I broke my back and I medically retired. Because that's true and that's what happened. I leave all the gory stuff out, like the stuff that, what, so he broke his back and that's why he has nightmares about that. Like, no, I have nightmares about the things I saw, but why am I going to share that with everybody else? And so, but now that I've got to the place where I like I said, I own the story. It's my story. I can tell it. I'm not afraid of it. It doesn't control me anymore. And it just, because the more I told it, the more I became in charge, the less that it controlled me. So when I did the show, I wanted to do things like that, and then getting recording people timing. So that's why we go live, right? Then, I had my accident and on vacation. It was terrible. Threw me off a little bit. So, but I am getting better. I'm getting used to these meds. Still can't drive, but I have a pretty cute chauffeur, and plus also my daughter will drive me around too, so that's nice. And it's getting better, and it's been amazing to be on the other end now to help other people tell their story and get through this. And not only get through this, tell it and then watch it and then tell it again and then talk to me and saying, you know what? I see what you're saying and it's true. It is now my story. It's not, it's not something that happened to me, substance abuse and all this kind of things. I was strung out. No, that was the beginning of the story, the middle of the story. That's not the end of the story. It was just the story. But when I decided to do the show today, I thought it was interesting that mental health. So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They did drop the D, so now it's PTS. But a lot of people still say PTSD because that's what everybody knows it by. But they got the disorder removed, so it's just post-traumatic stress. It also helps insurance, paying for things. It helps all these kind of weird things that you wouldn't even think about. But insurance, PTSD, that's you need to go here to that. No, you don't. You can be traumatized by anything in life. So when I was looking this up, and it's 46% of Americans will meet the criteria of a diagnosable mental health condition sometime in their life. Half, ready for this, will develop by age 14. 14 years old. Hello? That's middle school and high school, right? So what? So 11 is 5th and 6th, 12, 13, right? 9th grade, 10th grade. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is, and and as an ex-law enforcement officer, Terry will tell you, Middle school kids are the worst to deal with as a law enforcement officer. They're rude. They're obnoxious. They don't, it doesn't matter. They are. I always said I like elementary school and high school. Middle school kids are terrible. I put my kids in middle school in a private school because I was not dealing with middle school. I feel so bad for middle school teachers. They should be paid extra or hazard pay or something. But so I saw that note and I was like, that's 46%, and by the age of 40. So then I was like, okay, well, adults with mental illness in the U.S. Okay, this is last year, so this is current and this is last year. There was adults with mental illness in the U.S. 50 million. 50 million. Anxiety, which is the most common, is 42.5 million. 42.5. You know? Adults with substance disorder, 19 million. Okay. If you don't think COVID messed with society, it did. First off, I don't know how these kids got through high school. My poor daughter's majority of high school was in online. That's terrible. And then my daughter, she had to start first and second grade, in kindergarten or online. How do you learn online when you're in first grade? What? You're not going to sit still in front of a laptop? It's not happening. That's why those teachers in elementary school, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, right? They're amazing. They're always so tall. Hi. They move all around and let's go over here, kids. And how do you can't do that on a laptop? And with no time to prepare, it was terrible. So give your kids some slack if you think about it, because I don't think we could have done it. I think it would have been a little different. But so adult sobriety, substance abuse is 19 million. So this is why I say that, is because the next one is concerning to me. Youth. Okay. 4.08% last year had substance disorders abuse. Substance abuse for youth. Drugs, alcohol, anything like that. 4.08. 4? That should be 0, right? I mean, I know it's never going to be 0, but really? And then depression is 21 million in the US in the adults. 21 million. Youth is 2.5 million. And if you can't say COVID and think that didn't cause... Listen, I made A's and B's until I got in high school, and then I hated science. Woo, hated science. It's terrible at that. But I wasn't a dumb kid. I was a smart kid. I knew. I just wouldn't do homework, stuff like that. But I can tell you this, with that youth, no way. The way I learn is hands-on. No way would I have learned anything going to online schooling. It's not happening. Not my brain. Some people may, but not me. The other thing was, I went to school. I lived on 5 acres in the middle of nowhere. I had a friend that lived down the street, and he'd be there every other weekend and on Wednesday. Then it was just me and my siblings. And when my siblings went off to college, it was just me. I went to school to hang out with people, to socialize, to be around my friends. Remember, there was no internet like there is today. There was no Facebook. Facebook didn't come out while we were in high school. I remember my friend having it because he went to UF and it was a college thing. We had MySpace, but that was all after high school. We had Yahoo Messenger. And I didn't get a computer until 10th grade. So it wasn't like that. So I went to school to see my friends and hang out. Can you imagine the depression the youth was dealing with for 2 years, not leaving their house, at their house all day? If you're the oldest, you have to take care of all your younger siblings because guess what? Your parents are probably working, right? Now you're taking care of these kids. Your parents come home, they're upset because something didn't get done, or right? It, everybody was dealing with it, but nobody was paying attention that they were dealing with it. They're just like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault, right? But 2.5 million of youth dealt with depression. The last two is PTSD, 12 million. 12 million. I call BS on that one. I say next year when they actually start giving it to people that, you know, they're starting to do is understanding that it can be anybody. A long time was only associated to military, which military deserves what they, they deserve it. But that's not the only thing that deals in death and things like that. You know, a nurse seeing death all the time, right? Gunshot wounds coming in, those kind of things. They can deal with PTSD. Yeah, they will, So that's 12 million. And then suicidal thoughts. So whoever do these surveys, suicidal thoughts, 11.4 million people last year had suicidal thoughts. So with that, I say my show, his goal is to say, you are not alone. You're not alone. You're not the only one who's going through whatever you're going through. You're not the only one. And you have to know that. Talk to somebody. I find that a lot of people like talking to me because I don't know them. They only know me from this or other venues that I'm involved with to help, mental health and PTSD, things like that. They like me. They like my personality. So they open up to me. It's easier to tell a stranger than it is to somebody, that you're around all the time. My mom once said to me that you can always tell what's going on by the friends they keep. My brother used to always get busted all the time. And my mom said, all I got to do is to see who he's hanging out with. If his friends are coming up to me, being nice to me, saying hello, and they're super nice, that's great. But if his friends are aren't coming around, those friends aren't coming around anymore, and I don't know his new friends, they just come up and they leave. They never come in, say hello. You know what I mean? No manners. Something's changed. My mom would notice these things immediately, right? And just be like, pounce on it. But it's the same thing for us. It's the same thing for everything. If something happens and you're just like, ugh, all right, well, stop. Why? Okay. Some things are it's going to be better. You're not, you're backing out, you're not doing drugs anymore. You don't want to hang out with those people, obviously. I get that. But when you're looking at your core friends, I tell my kids this all the time. So you count to 5, right? And look at your friends. These 5 friends are what everybody thinks about you. So if all these people are in and out of jail or overdosing and all that, so are you. That's what they think. If all these people are scholars and all that, they're going to think you are, right? You are who you keep. But if that's the case, right? And none of these friends, you don't share what's going on with any of these friends, then you're hiding it. It's building up. It's building up. It's building up. And that's what happens. It busts, right? Because they're like, something's wrong. No, it's not. Something's wrong. No, it's not. Just leave me alone. So you're going to go over here, the ones that aren't going to ask. They just want you to come down to their level. They don't want you to go and rise. They want you to stay down here with them. And that's what happens. Our mental health is so easy to just go up or down, right? Put on a show and like, woo, I don't like watching cop shows. I can't stand watching cop shows. Several reasons. One, they always make, if it's not a cop show, it's just like there's a cop on the show. They make the cop look stupid every time. Dumb and ignorant, just dumb. I hate it. If it is a cop show, it's usually like, oh, this cop is bad, or this cop does this, and this cop's doing this crooked stuff. No, that's not life. The thing is, there's McDonald's, and there's some great McDonald's employees, and there's some shitty McDonald's employees, and there's some people you're like, ugh, I don't know why McDonald's would hire them. They always hire anybody, right? Law enforcement is the same way. Pretty much the same, because they get paid the same. So they get paid no money to offer this courage that they have to step forward and protect a community that doesn't respect them. Not all. Some people don't respect them. Some people love them. So you have this kind of personality, right? You're trying to help. But now it's just dragging them down. It's making them this fun person that wants to help, wants to change the world. And they just drag them down. And that person didn't do anything wrong. And this one person who's a craphead and doing stupid things, that's what the media runs with. Boom, boom, boom. Because that sells. This nice guy just being burnt out because he's the only one working, that doesn't sell magazines, So that's what happens. You associate these people and you do that. And that's so messed up, because you look at it, oh, that's that. No. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they've been. You don't know where they were 5 seconds ago, 10 minutes ago. You don't. And that's what I tell my kids. And that's when I was a manager at restaurants. That's what I would tell my servers is, listen, they're paying us to feed them a lot of money. They can go any restaurant, but they're going to come here. So if they're rude, ignore it. Don't come down there, because you don't know what happened right before here. They could have been in the car arguing with their other. They could have just lost somebody and they came in. You don't know. So why think you know everything and just, well, I'm here and they're ignorant, they're rude. No, you don't know that. You don't know that at all, actually. They might not be rude. They might be the nicest people in the world, and they just found out somebody died and they're really sad. Right? And you were the first person that they saw. So if you know that happens, because you do it 100%, I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Everybody else does it too. That's why I said, you're not the only one. You're not, I hate to say it, you're not special. This mental illness or this memory or this hard time you're going through, or you're really sad, or this, it's happened before. There's books. There's a book called the Bible that talks about stories that happened a long time ago. And all these stories are crazy, wild stories. But that means I'm not the original person to this. I didn't come up with this stuff. I'm just trying to figure out why we punish people or look down on them for saying, I need help, help me, right? People are screaming all the time, I need help. And we ignore it. Like, nope, no help. Not my job. It's not my job, but I made it my job. I made it my job to say, I can't help you all, but I can listen and I'll be here, you know, and I can try to help you find somebody to go talk to. And, that's right. You just have to be that person. You have to be the kindergarten version of yourself where everybody understood that everybody was nice and the mean kid was mean. So we didn't like them. But all these people are nice. Didn't matter what color they were. Didn't matter. Boys, girls, didn't matter. Right. It was just how that person treated you. That's the only thing that mattered. And as you get older, you found out that this person was treating you this way because something wasn't going well at home, right? So they were taking it out on you because somebody was taking it out on them. But you don't know that as a kindergartner. So if we go back to our kindergarten self and do the same thing, it'll help tremendously. One, your depression, gone. You want to listen to somebody tell you a story about what they've been through and listen to them, and then they say thank you for listening. You have never done a drug that'll get you that high. That is the biggest high you'll ever have in your life, of somebody saying thank you for listening. I just needed to tell somebody that. It is awesome. It is amazing. When I grew up with somebody and I knew what they've been through from an outside perspective, and being friends, we all hung out with several, same kind of people, and they were just a nice person always to me. And I always had respect for them. I've said it, Lucy, she's on the show all the time with me. I love her to death. But when she was telling me her story, go back and watch it. When she's on as a guest, go back and watch it. She said, white knuckled it. She was dealing with trying to quit drinking, white knuckle, not going to meetings, not just doing it herself. I felt her pain. I could feel so you're holding on so tight. Your knuckles are just, I felt what she was saying. I knew what she was saying. And that is the moment I was like, I love this show. I do, because that, I even said white knuckle. Like I repeated it. Like that image is burnt into my head, because you should never get that far. Don't get to white knuckles. You don't need to. I'm telling you the secret to success. Just go tell somebody what's bothering you. You don't have to tell your family members. Don't tell your mother. She'll remember it forever. Moms are very good at that. But go to somebody you trust. Somebody that dealt with, somebody had dealt with it, right? You can go to somebody like that. Go to a counselor, a therapist, anything like that. Go to a meeting. It doesn't matter. There's chats, there's websites or Facebook posts or message like groups where you can just boom and someone's going to answer. I'm on several of those and I love them. And you just, 2 a.m, you just say to someone out there, they're going to say, yeah, what's up? And I'm telling you, that's the secret. Talk about it. First time's going to be hard. Maybe the second time. Third and fourth. But after a while, it's not hard. It's a cool story that I lived through. It shows you how strong I am. It shows you how strong you are. So whatever you went through, Um, if you ever think that, oh, it can't get any worse, right? It can, it will, but guess what? It can also get so much better too. It's what you do. If you just keep digging, it's just going to keep getting worse. But I'm telling you, put your hand up. Someone's going to grab it, help you out. So, for today, Mental Health Awareness Month and Mental Health Awareness Day, I wear my demons behind me, because I loved these guys. I love what they do. I figured that let's tell these stories, right? Let's tell everybody stories. Well, let me give you a little half of my story. So now you understand why, right? Why I do this. Because I've been in this situation. I can tell you this. I real quick, I know we're coming to my hour, but I went home after I was involved in a shooting. I was on the scene for several hours. Several hours. Because FDLE and all these people had to come, all that stuff happened. I mean, probably 5 or 6 hours after. Just sitting there, waiting to be told I could go home. And all the other cops are there, and they're like, "You good? You good? Yeah, I'm good. All right, good." I get home. Going to the game room, play some video games because I'm not tired at all. I go to bed. I wake up, and my partner John brought me lunch, and I told him what happened. First, he brought me lunch because he knew I probably wasn't eating because he knows me, right? Second, he came to apologize to me. I'm like, for what? We got off shift and I was with other people doing an investigation that was after we were waiting for a certain time. So he was off shift. But it was like 2 blocks from his house. But he didn't have he was off shift. He didn't have his radio on. How is he supposed to know? You know what I mean? But he felt so bad when he came in the morning and found out. He brought me lunch and told me that. And I was like, I didn't even think of that you weren't there because it wasn't your time to be on. You know what I mean? You're off. You're home, laying down. Like that has nothing to do. So I understood that he was upset that he wasn't there for me, but he was there when I needed him the next morning. And he brought me lunch. He brought me Subway, in case you wanted to know. It's Subway. That's what he brought me because we love Subway. So I told him what happened, everything, and he leaves. He leaves. And like I said, I now at this point, I've told the story. I had to tell it to FDLE, which is Florida law enforcement. I tell them to those investigators, tell it, just over and over and over and over. I've told it. So I'm done telling it, you know? I don't even think he got to his car or he left my neighborhood yet. But my dad called me. And as soon see, still gets me. As soon as I heard my father's voice, he just said, Trav, your mom told me what happened. Are you okay? That was it. It was just my dad's voice asking me if I was okay. I lost it. I just started crying. I was just like, I don't even, like, I was like, that was it. And he came back and was checking on me. And it was, I can't explain it, but it was, my dad is that person, right? He is that man, that myth that I hold my bar to, that I try to get, right? So for him, there was no being tough. I couldn't be tough around my dad. My dad knows me, right? I can be tough in front of, hey, I got this guy. My kids, I'm tough. We're fine. But to my dad, wasn't happening. And that was the only time. After that, I was okay, right? When I went back to work, people came up to me, what happened? I could tell them what happened, But for that one instant, I couldn't. It was just, that's it. But it felt so good to let it go. Like my dad just saying, "What, are you okay?" was letting me know that it was okay to now. My dad's now got this. My dad is here, and it was just a phone. Like I said, it was just his voice. But that's all I needed. Just his voice. And that's what it was. And after that, I could tell it when I wanted to, and it never bothered me to tell it. I never cried or teared up because I'd let it go when my dad called. So it's one of those things. Our brains are so crazy good to us, but they can be so bad to us too, right? So you just, if you want to pass a test, you got to study for it, right? No one ever studies mental health. You don't study how to get out of mental health issues. I can tell you this: go outside, do something. Just go outside. We like to go walk around the mall and Home Depot and places like that, flea markets. Not buy anything, just walk. I can walk and see all these fun, shiny things, right? Ooh, pretty, Just go somewhere. Just get out of the house. I've been going outside playing with Frisbee with my dog. So, and spend time with people that you want to spend time with. Just go be with them. Just do something and nothing to do with it. But don't stay inside. Don't keep it bottled up. You got to get it out. You got to share it. So I love everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next week. Bye.